for the team over this last little bit of regrouping since Saturday, and how much of a challenge has it been to have to do this a few weeks in a row?
I actually think, first of all, attitudes were good yesterday. And when you guys ask those questions, sometimes it's the questions asked in a way that we've been together a lot since we haven't. We were together yesterday for a limited time. But we watched tape, we talked, and then we did have a short practice. Practice was spirited. The thing about it is, and we have done it a couple of weeks in a row, you're exactly right. The thing that has been frustrating to me, and I'm sure it is to the players, is inconsistent energy as much as anything. Because when we're turned up, energy-wise, and there's a difference when you can play hard and all those things, but you just don't play near as fast or as hard if you don't have energy and enthusiasm to play. And that's been inconsistent with us. And when we've had it, we've actually been really good. And when we haven't, as you guys know, we've fallen quite a bit. And a lot of times when you say you don't play well, it's really a way of taking away from the other team really playing well. I don't want to do that at all, because I thought K-State, played very, very well the other day, very well. But I also think that we allowed them to play at the level they played because our energy level wasn't as high. So attitudes have been good. I'm looking forward to see how we respond. But that line, should be a line that we have to use consecutive weeks, to your point, because we shouldn't be doing the same thing because of the reasons for a couple of poor performances. I think is because of inconsistent energy.
As you look for more consistency, have you considered changing up your practice structure at all, or are you sticking with the same sort of plan you've had in practices over recent weeks?
Have I looked at it? Yes, but the hour and 15-minute practices you have in February, I don't think is a true indication on what your energy level will be like in a game, regardless of how you practice or how much time you spend on shooting or how much time you spend on a drill or how much time you go up and down in practice. Needs to be done with energy regardless of the actual routine. I think your question is a good one, but I also think that if you have to change up practice to get energy, seriously, that's not the formula on the foundation of what you should be. So can you tweak some things? Absolutely. But can you re-emphasize, well, we're going to spend a different time, or we're going to put shooting at the end of practice as opposed to the beginning? To me, those are band-aids and not the root of real problems.
Bill, there's always been a certain level of parity in the conference, but now that with the portal and everyone can bring in some guys with some money, is there less distance between the top and the bottom in college basketball?
Absolutely. And the reason is, Dave, in the past, certain programs may get 3 guys that are all rated in the top 15 in America on one roster. Now you couldn't afford to get 3 guys like that, so they're going different places. So I'd say there's more parity, and I would say there's a bigger chance for what is perceived to be an upset in today's game than what is actually an upset. Just because of everybody's going to have guys that are good enough to pay, and you don't pay guys unless you think they're good enough to beat teams that, also has real guys. So yeah, I'd say there's more parity.
And kind of connected to that, CU had Houston on the ropes. It was
They
important.
have everybody on the ropes all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you talk about the personnel?
Well, I think their personnel is good, but you know, Tad, and their program, they lost a lot of guys from last year. I mean, and last year's team, you know, obviously, was very good, went to the tournament. But they lost a lot of guys off that team. Their personnel, guys, is good enough to beat UConn. Okay, but it hasn't been, what it needed to be to close out close games in our league. So you look at the Houston game, what was it, a 2-point game with 3 minutes left, 4 minutes left, or
Yes.
whatever? That's a 1 or 2 possession game that turned out to be more than that. But if you look at a lot of their games in league play, there's been several games like that they were right there to win it and just didn't get it done for whatever reason.
Looking at the starting lineup you went with this past week with Rylan and KJ, what'd you think of that unit as a whole over the 2 games?
Well, against Iowa State, I thought everybody was great. I thought it was fine. Against K-State, I didn't think anything was great. So it's kind of unfair to say, well, what's the starting lineup with certain guys in the game if one's really not a starter that particular game? I don't really think that's a fair assessment to make, because we didn't have, you know, our starters in there enough to really evaluate what the starters were against K-State.
And we didn't see Rakis there in Manhattan. How's he doing?
He's, you know, he got the flu after he had his concussion. Whether or not he'll be available tomorrow night remains to be seen. But yeah, the poor kid just came back and was back in practice 1, maybe day and a half, 2 days, and then he got the flu.
And then Zach, is he any closer to being back in
I think
practice?
Zach's closer to being able to practice some. I don't think he's close to being able to play in a game yet. And he hasn't been cleared. He's been cleared to do some things in practice, but he's not at the point where he can go, you know, every day. So.
Coach, teams that tend to play well in February and early March tend to play well in the tournament. What's the biggest key to get hot right now with this team?
I think that's probably the best question yet. And the answer's the same. I'd say a consistent energy. You know, when you look at us, and I'm not gonna make excuses for us, because we've shown that we can play at a higher level. Have you ever thought about when it could be your employer, it could be a coach, whatever, when somebody tells you to do something harder or faster or tougher, and you actually raise it a level? Is that a positive thing that you raised it a level? Or does it really show your employer or your coach that you really weren't trying to begin with? That's what I think we gotta get, is consistent energy, effort. And it doesn't mean you're not trying, but that all starts way before practice starts. That's you know, all those things. Because if a guy shows you that they can run, we call it 22 down and back twice in 17 seconds, and all the other times after 17, he runs it in 17, he runs it in 22, doesn't that tell you that maybe he wasn't trying quite as hard in the ones in 22 as he did in the 17s? So he spoils you by telling you what his bar is, and now it's up to you to hold him to that bar. Well, haven't we done that with our team? Didn't we beat Duke? Didn't we, without KJ, basically do everything but win the game against Houston? Didn't we hold Iowa State to 52 points? So that to me is the bar. Anything less than that is not. But obviously, are you gonna play that well all the time? No. But you should play at what gave you the best chance to play at that level that particular day, day in and day out. And I think if you look at us, I think it's just consistent energy as much as anything else. So to your point, can we get hot? Absolutely. Can we play our best moving forward? Absolutely. But we need to develop some habits before we actually get there.
How close do you think you are to that? I mean, does it feel far away, or does it feel like it's just a couple of turns?
I actually thought last Monday, I thought we were really close. I thought last Saturday we were miles away. I thought this past Saturday we're miles away. It'll be curious to see what we are tomorrow. So to answer your question, it's not, and I think this is obviously to the question about practice, until it becomes a consistent deal. You know, we tell our guys all the time, and some of them actually believe it, that there's been studies all across the world that have been done, that if you do something 18 consecutive days in a row, it becomes a habit. Now, who knows if that's true or not? I have no idea. But we say that, so if you get up every morning and you do this 18 mornings in a row, the 19th you do it just by habit. Well, we would be on day 2 today. So we still got a ways to go for it to become habitual. But can it be done? Absolutely. But you know, it needs to be. It should have been done before now. But certainly we got to get it done starting right now.
Your example of the 22s too, and other things like that. So much of that, and I'm sure so much of what you want is got to come from the guys, got to come from the players themselves, right? But are there things that you can do, little things, or your staff can do, little things that help dial toward consistency throughout a game, throughout a week, throughout a day? I mean, how hard is that to pinpoint?
Yeah, I would say there's got to be some things that we can do. I watched something the other day. You know, when you have great teams, they're comfortable being uncomfortable. And I don't think that we're quite to the point where we're comfortable being uncomfortable yet. But are the things that we can do? Yeah, there's probably some things that we can do and tweak and do some different things to try to create that. But the reality of it is, you know, we need to enjoy playing for each other as much as how do we do something to try to create this moment at this one time. You know, to me, yeah, you do those things, and yeah, it may create a moment for that one time, but what happens when that you don't do something at another time? Does that automatically mean that you go back to where it was? I think a lot of that's just from within, playing for each other and just having a general idea of this is who we are, this is how we play, this is how we compete, and we like doing it, and we like doing it with each other. And I think that's been inconsistent. But can we do things differently? Yeah, we can, and I'm sure there's things that we can do differently. But, you know, changing up how we handle a pre-game meal or video that we show them and things like that, that may create something in the short term, but is that really a foundation that really makes a huge difference? I don't know that it is.
What does the tape show on wasted possessions? I don't think your turnover count's been too high, but what does it show in the losses on wasted possessions?
Gary, you score 71, 73, whatever it was, on the road in back-to-back games. There are always going to be some wasted possessions. That's enough points on the road. You got to be able to stop people. Now, at least for this particular team, it may not be enough points for some teams that play a lot faster and shoot a lot more threes or whatever. But for this particular team, we got to have the mindset, guys, if we get to 70, then that's enough, and we got to be able to stop folks. And that obviously, to me, there's been more wasted possessions defensively than there has been offensively.
The leading scorer and rebounder in KU history will be on the visitors bench. How strange will that be, and what are your opinions of the greatness of Danny?
We could go a little bit further. The leading scorer and rebounder and the second best player to ever play here will be on the other bench. And I'm not talking about Tad Boyle, even though Tad will be here too. Yeah, I hope that people welcome them both back, which I know they will, yeah, Danny's, he's obviously as influential a player as this place has ever known, and probably done as much for this athletic department and program as anybody ever has. And so, yeah, we're proud of everything he accomplished and what he continues to do and how he represents us everywhere he goes, even though he's not here right now.
You probably don't see him near as much. Do you miss him being around, and when's the last time you really got to spend time with him?
I think the last time I spent real time with him was at Tyler's wedding. He and Julie are Evan, Taylor. They're all close to us and dear friends. And so I haven't spent a lot of time with Dee since Tyler's wedding, which was this past summer. So.
And what about the crowd tomorrow? Sometimes Colorado game, for whatever reason, doesn't pack the place. Do you have any opinion on?
Well, I hope it does. Weather, we could use weather as an excuse possibly and all that stuff, but the thing about it is, what we fall in the polls today? 17. So we're 16-7 and we're ranked 17th in the country. And what are we in the net? 11. So, and granted, it hasn't been the conference season that any of us wanted thus far. But the bottom line is, there's been a lot of teams that wish that they were ranked 17th in the country. And so I understand the disappointment totally, and frustration, because we get frustrated too. But there's still another gear that we can get to, and there's still a ton to play for. And regardless of who you're playing, and of course Colorado, and seeing Danny and Tad come back, I mean, that should be a game that people want to come to. But the bottom line is, we need everybody. Our guys, when guys are laboring, that's when we should rally around it the most. To be honest with you, we really need fans the least when things are going well. To be real candid with you, and when things aren't, that's when you really need them the most. And so I look forward to seeing a great crowd regardless of weather situation. But I would think that people would show up, because it's getting close to mid-February, and this is when it's going to start counting the most.
Thanks, Coach.